Hello, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to SermonLink. Good to be together, and I'm glad that you're connecting with us and checking in on our scripture for today. I'm Larry Brown, pastor of Powell United Methodist Church, and today we're going to be looking at the Gospel of Luke. It is the Easter story, the resurrection story in Luke's Gospel, and you'll see there it's the first 12 verses. So I'd like to get right to the reading as we begin today. On the first day of the week, at early dawn, they came to the tomb, taking the spices that they had prepared. They found the stone rolled away from the tomb, but when they went in, they did not find the body. While they were perplexed about this, suddenly 2 men in dazzling clothes stood beside them. The women were terrified and bowed their faces to the ground. But the men said to them, "Why do you look for the living among the dead? He is not here, but has risen. Remember how he told you, while he was still in Galilee, that the Son of Man must be handed over to sinners and be crucified, and on the third day rise again?" Then they remembered his words, and returning from the tomb, they told all this to the 11 and to all the rest. Now it was Mary Magdalene, Joanna, Mary the mother of James, and the other women with them who told this to the apostles. But these words seemed to them an idle tale, and they did not believe them. But Peter got up and ran to the tomb. Stooping and looking in, he saw the linen cloths by themselves. Then he went home, amazed at what had happened. As I say, this is the resurrection story in Luke's Gospel. And as we find when we visit these different Gospels, each writer, each evangelist has a particular way of focusing or giving an emphasis on the account. Here in Luke's Gospel, one of the things that is so noticeable to me is the fact that there is, at least not here, an encounter with the risen Jesus. You might recall in some of the other Gospels, the Gospel of John, for instance, Jesus appears and speaks to the women, and that's true in the other Gospels as well. Here, Luke does not present that encounter, but simply the fact that the women find the tomb empty, and there are these witnesses there, these others that appear that tell them he's not there, but Jesus himself is not a part of this scene. And I think that's one of the keys for us understanding what Luke would have us know as we approach our Easter Sunday and hear this gospel as our as the word that's lifted up and proclaimed on that day. The emphasis here is how we are expecting to meet the risen Jesus, where it is we expect to meet the risen Jesus. And as is made so clear in this telling, it is not going to be in the place of the dead. It is not in the place of death. And it's Luke's way of saying that the power of the resurrection that is in Jesus is a power that meets us in our lives along the way. In fact, the very next story that comes to us in Luke's Gospel is that story of the road to Emmaus, where Jesus then does appear, and those who are traveling the road come to know him as they break bread together, as they share in community together. So it's Luke's clue here that our experience of a risen Jesus happens along the way in the journey of our lives. It's really a challenging word, because the women begin their Easter morning expecting, again, to be in a place of death. They carry spices to anoint the body, to carry on the preparation that needs to be completed for one who has died. And again, the word is, he is not here, he is risen. And it's among the living, it's in your life that you will find this resurrected power and this risen Jesus who is with you. So for us, we'll come to our Easter morning, we'll sing our songs, we will join together in all of the traditions that are a part of Easter morning, We'll sing Christ the Lord is risen today. We'll speak the words, He is risen indeed. And all of that worship and the gathering of the church in the sanctuary is an important aspect of our Easter faith. But the fact of the matter is that the real power of resurrection and the reality of the risen Christ is in our lives, in the way that we live. It's along the way that we come to know Him. So that's my word for you as we move into our celebration of Easter, to be looking for Him, to be aware of the presence of Christ. And He may be embodied in ways that we don't expect. It could come through our relationship with others. It could come through some other experience. It could be a struggle. It could be a situation that challenges us, and in the midst of that, we discover a presence of peace and a presence of love and grace that we know is of God, and that is the living one who is with us, this risen one who helps us to live in the same confidence of a life that can never be taken away and can never be overcome by any challenge, not even death itself. So it's a living faith. It's a living resurrection. It's an encounter with Jesus in our lives. One of the things that I came across recently, and it came through our Lenten study here at Powell United Methodist Church, was the way in which the author of our study said that often we who are Christians are thinking about resurrection more as if it is resuscitation. In other words, a bringing back to life what was, or restoring what has been, and that's what we often hope for or long for through our faith, to make it all better and to put it back together the way that it was. Resurrected life is something very different than that we're invited to think about, in the sense that a resurrected life is a new life. A resurrected life is when God takes what are ashes and blows a breath of life into what wasn't and creates again something of goodness and value and beauty. So I think that's what we're looking for if we are truly wanting to embrace the experience of resurrection in our lives. It's the places and ways in which God takes that which has no life in it and has no hope of having life in it, and then breathes this creative spirit and gives the breath of life once more, and a newness emerges. It can happen in us, it can happen between us, that is, in our shared life together, and it can happen beyond us, and it can invite us then to participate in it. So that's what we are looking for, and that's what the women were preparing then to experience, and inviting the disciples to do the same. That's my hope and prayer for you, for me, for all of us who love the Lord and who build our faith upon this great truth that death has no hold on us, and that nothing can ever separate us from the love of Jesus Christ. Friends, a blessed Holy Week as you continue to journey through it. Don't forget to open yourself to the reality of the cross, because it's in that death and dying in darkness that the light and life of Jesus truly have the greatest capacity to lift us up. And so may all of that holy mystery be yours as you continue to move through this Holy Week and into the glory of Easter morning. I'm glad we had this time together. If you're appreciating SermonLink, then I invite you to give us a like or a love, and then also to share it. That's one way that we can help spread the word, the message of Jesus into the world. And so we welcome your partnership in that work together. Thanks a lot for being with me. We will gather again next week and look for our SermonLink edition then. And until then, you take care and God bless. Bye-bye.